Basically, I came to Toronto to shoot a documentary, something like a sequel to the one I shot in Houston, Texas, called Tears in the Bayou, and it highlighted the different sides of Houston, Texas, and how gun violence impacts us for a really long time, right? And I came to Toronto, and just because I never lived here or been here, period, I said, let me attend these town halls. You know, I met different people, and I said, let me attend town halls because I'm gonna get to know the neighborhoods a little more. And like y'all see, the presentation was amazing, right? So during one town hall meeting, it got really heated. And a gentleman was pretty passionate about what he was talking about. And I told him what I did in Houston, Texas, and Baltimore, Maryland, that maybe he could do in his neighborhood out there in Rexdale. And Ron really liked what I said. And every time I came out, he told me to say it again and again. I was like, you know what, Ron? You speak so well and you have this presentation. Let me add a little something in there. Because we got pictures, we got videos of everything we did down there. So basically it all started in 2015. I was in Houston, Texas. My executive producer called me and told me, hey man, there's something happened in Baltimore. You got family over there. Why don't you go over there and get some footage because it's gonna be good for us. And I said, all right, cool. So I went there, and first thing that happened when I showed up to my family house on West Lafayette and Monroe, somebody got murdered. A guy called Lil Marty had came out of jail, and he thought the neighborhood was still his. And in Baltimore, if somebody else took over your neighborhood, they don't even argue with you. So somebody walked up to him and killed him. And it started a big war in the neighborhood. His cousin got killed the next day. And I was like, what's going on? And the city was under fire. Everywhere, people were taking out their scores. I don't know what was going on that summer, but it was a really, really violent time. So as you can see, I took all these images. They called out a National Guard because it was that the police couldn't handle the situation anymore. And they had to call out the National Guard to keep the neighborhood safe, and the Army was there in order to calm things down. And I remember driving through this sign right here, and this sign is a sign I drove through when I was young. And I was like, wow, this is like 15 years later. I still see this sign, and it says the same thing. How many more have to die before you make a change? And I bet you everybody sitting here has probably thought about that for their own city of Toronto, because I know y'all see it every day, and you're like, how many more have to die or have to get hurt or shot? So that's what we asked ourselves. And then when I got back to the neighborhood, the documentary took a turn. We started talking about, hey man, like something got to change. And I think the number one people that can change it is us. Because we know what's going on and we walk around here every day, you know. And it's up to us because we love our community. It's time to really act like we love our community. So what me and my boy Tyree did, we went to different warring gangs and talked to them about their conflict. You know, because it's tough for anybody to step up because a lot of the gangs do retaliation shootings. And it turns out it gets to a point where people forget why they're shooting at this friend group or this side of the neighborhood. They're just doing it just to do it, and nobody wants to step up. Everybody feels like they're soft to step up, so we were the one, hey, we're gonna step up. So we had a meeting, and we're like, listen, man, there's a spot on Lafayette and Monroe that the kids like to play around. The parents like to have barbecues around. So why don't we just let them have their fun, and y'all could just do whatever you got to do somewhere else and leave this block alone. And when we did that, everybody agreed to it because everybody was tired of the mess. And then we called that a no-shoot zone. We put the graffiti on the wall, and that's me with Tyree, and we had a block party. So the block party, we had the elders come talk to the community about how they feel, about what's going on. And a few local rappers performed. Some kids talked on the microphone and told the crowd, hey, we got to stop the shootings because this happens to me and I'm scared to come outside. And it was a good block party. And then I left to Houston, Texas, back again. I came back after a year, and we were at the gas station. During the time of the gas station, I noticed a lot of little kids from the neighborhood throwing rocks at cars. So I was like, why y'all throwing rocks at cars? Man, like, I know y'all got a lot of energy, but I'm gonna tell you how you gonna do it, right? I said, every time somebody pulls up over here, I offer them to pump gas. And when the person lets you pump gas, they're probably gonna give you a tip or ask them for $1. Whoever gets the most dollars, come to the back alley. We're shooting a little movie. I'm gonna put y'all in a movie. They came back there. It was these are part of the little kids I was doing that. I put them all in a little movie. So I told them, hey man, y'all could just improv a script. Just improv a script. We ain't got no script for you. And they started talking about, this is a no shoot zone. Nobody shoots over here. This is a no shoot zone. Nobody shoots over here. I was like, whoa. Because I thought after the block party, it's going to last a little bit and then everybody's going to forget about it. And we were just doing it just to calm down the summer. But then I went home, I researched the shootings in the neighborhood. We have a murder map where you see the shootings, stabbings, and everything. And I noticed there was no shootings, no murders on West Baltimore, on Lafayette and Monroe for a whole year. A neighborhood that when I pulled up, there was a few murders. And I was like shocked that happened. And then as you can see, kids started drawing the no shoes on the floor. You know, the news came over there. Al Jazeera was like, came over there. First responders, police, firemen, they're all taking pictures in front of the mural because everybody was like, word around town was going around that this block is totally changed, and it was like a miracle that happened on West Baltimore because before we put up the no shoot zone, our block had the most murders in America, like per capita. People started DMing us a lot. I was getting messages every day like, hey, can you guys do a no shoot zone in our neighborhood? This happened here. Can you come put up a no shoot zone? And I was like, wow, this is really going somewhere. So upon returning to Houston, Texas, where of course Houston, Baltimore, and Chicago in 2015 and 16 were three of the cities driving America's murder rate up. I don't know what was going on that year. I don't know if it was election time or something like that, but it was just a really bad time for a lot of people in the inner cities of these cities. As you can see, like a lot of kids were getting killed by stray bullets. I used to live in the 77036 zip code. A zip code is like a postal code, and our postal code at that time, in like 4 or 5 years, had over 90 murders. So I'm really familiar with it. And not only am I just like a bystander to the crime, a lot of my friends were murdered that same year, and that's me. With my friend Jason right there, he got killed standing next to somebody else who was the intended target. My boy Jay Skills was murdered because he used to have a studio in his house and somebody wanted to get the equipment, so they killed him. My friend Corey, he was just found dead on the street. My boy Drew, who was in the casket right there, he was murdered after having an argument with somebody at the club who was trying to pull his friend's wife's hand, and he was like, hey, just relax. It was all caught on camera. He said, just relax. They turned around, the guy shot him in his head. And my homegirl, she got murdered by her boyfriend on a domestic dispute. So I went to the neighborhood, same way I did in Baltimore, but this time I had a camera. And I talked to the guys, hey man, look, we gotta take over back the neighborhood because we're the only ones that care. And if this can work in Baltimore, it could definitely work in Houston. And they agreed to it because at the end of the day, all of us hate the crime. There's nobody that really likes crime. You know, we're just caught up in a deadly cycle, and you feel like you have to act some way because just not to be soft or whatever terminology you want to use. And after that, I went back. This is about my zip code outside Valero gas station. And in Houston, Texas, period, you can go to jail for almost anything. So we don't do graffiti because you could definitely go to jail for that. So I printed out a banner instead. And then, like as you can see, that's me in the middle right there. A few people in the community who have been affected by gang violence. And we put up a no shoot zone, and the block parties kept coming. This is in Sunnyside, Texas, one of the top 20 most violent neighborhoods in America. And I saw a kid put her hand over there on the banner. So next time I had a block party in 3rd Ward, I had the kids put their hands on paint and touch the banner because the banner's for them. And then the parties kept getting bigger and bigger. And then it started not just only being a little party, it started being like, okay, like how can we make this a great event? So we started giving the kids awards. We started having basketball competitions because not every kid can make the basketball team in school. And sometimes they always feel low about themselves, like, okay, I come from a bad neighborhood, I can't make the team, I probably not doing good in school, so they feel demoralized. So we felt like, look, we're gonna give awards out because a pat on the back goes a long way. You know, we had basketball competition. These ladies down there, they came from the beauty salon and they did all the little girls' hairs. A few barbers came out there that did all the little boys' hairs. I thought, hey, everybody got to go to school fly on Monday, so we got to make this good. And one of the kids got a scholarship to college for ball. As you can see, this block party here had over 500 people, the banner kept going back in the picture because there's too many people to take the picture with. And then out of nowhere, I ended up on Fox News, surprisingly, and that's when I realized people were calling me an activist. I was like, oh, okay. And then they spelled my name wrong, so one C. And then it was a pretty cool night. I remember going to the gym and everybody's like, hey, I saw you on Fox News, saw you on Fox News. And we had the last block party in a neighborhood called Garden City in Houston, Texas. Garden City is, it's like how y'all say housing. It's a Section 8 community where gang violence has been happening since like the 60s. And now I'm from the south side of town, and Houston, Texas is like an hour from the south to the north without no traffic. It's like a whole different side of the city. So the police are really concerned about this no shoot zone block party. Everybody had heard about the block parties now. And how I raise money for the block parties, I used to go knock on neighbors' doors and be like, hey, we'll have a block party. You got $10, $20, because we're buying awards, we're buying like equipment for the kids to play on, jumpies for the kids to play on. So the whole city had heard about it. When I went to Garden City, I barely even got through the neighborhood. All the parents are coming to $10 bills here, $5 bills here. They're all just handing out money to me because they know we're about to have a big thing for the neighborhood. In Garden City, had the police, so the police had called me like, hey man, you don't understand how this side of town works. It's not gonna work out. Guys that shot each other are coming to the block party. It's not gonna be good. But I already promised the whole neighborhood that we're having a block party, and I had already had a pre-meeting with the guys that they were talking about anyways. So we did it anyways, and the guys they talked about were hugging each other. It was all good. The party went along good as usual. We gave the awards out. On stage is a bunch of famous rappers from Texas. They agreed to give me free block parties because it's for peace. And the officer that called me, I called them to come to the block party because I believe if the community has to have a good relationship with the police, because like Ron said, it has to be 24/7 with the enforcement and the mental changing, and I can't be there 24/7, but I know the officers of patrol there are gonna be there way more than I am, and it's good for everybody to be familiar with each other. Again, we was giving out awards for a lot of awards. This time I went to the schools. I found out who's doing good in math, English, science. We gave out a bunch of awards, and even awards that them two got award. Oh, sorry, them two got an award for being loyal to each other. That's how many awards we're given. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all loyal friends. All right, boom. Here's a loyalty award. And so some of the awards was given at that time. And then at this time, I started building my name for myself in the city for doing the activism. So Congressman Al Green had breakfast with me. He was asking how can we make this a bigger thing where it's like, we did it in 5 neighborhoods. There's a lot of neighborhoods in Houston, Texas that need no shoot zones. And we talked about what should happen. And the mayor of Houston, Texas right there, Sylvester Turner, he gave me a few community awards and thanked me for what I did, invited me to an event. But the biggest gift for me was 2017, the murder rate dropped by 11%. We didn't have any shootings in any of the no-shoot zones, and those are really, really violent neighborhoods. Thank you very much. And so I always emphasize education. It's crazy. When I was young, I used to hate going to school. And I used to give my mama hell. Me and my little brother used to give my mama hell all the time, never just skipping school and everything. But now I'm big on going to different schools and being a role model, because I understand a lot of kids in our communities don't have positive male role models that they need. And seeing my friends who've been murdered, who are doing life in jail, or people I know that's career criminals, they never really had a dad in their life, you know? So I make sure, I always tell the teachers in all these schools, I can be everybody's dad, so I go to schools, different schools in Houston, Texas, to talk and teach. I do it from here all the way to Africa, and I'm gonna be in Africa next week too, doing the same thing. And the documentary I'm shooting, the name might change, but it's called Our Reality, Trauma in Toronto, because a lot of the interviews we did, from interviewing moms, the gang members, people in prison, the kids, the police officers, everybody showed signs of trauma. Everybody. I didn't, the other people I was interviewing, I was just interviewing them for their perspective of, oh, you're an activist, let me give you an interview. But they were almost crying in the interview. So I'm like, wow, it's crazy trauma around here. And this is what it's called. And I'm here to, helping Ron with everything he's doing. Gang prevention is a big thing for me. I heard y'all arguing earlier and how to change these kids. Myself, when I was young, I lost my brother. His name's tattooed on me like 1, 2, 3 times actually. And I fell in a dark place, and nobody talked to me. I had no counselors. I used to cry. I used to go in the bathroom in school and just start crying every other day. And then when I was 16, 17, that's when it was so easy for somebody else to influence me. So I started running with a bunch of guys, and I didn't know, like every weird thing you see on TV was totally normal to me. It wasn't dark to me. And then one day, as you can see, that's totally behind me, but I see the stupidity in everything. And every time I go to the block parties and block to talk to these guys, I know where they're coming from, and I believe in all of them because I was right there with them. So don't stop believing in these guys, and make sure you know that anybody can change. And a lot of times it's the darkness. I've been there, and just lift them out that they can see the light. Once you see the light, like Ron said, everything looks good. You know, I remember one time I walked through Fifth Avenue with my wife, and we saw all these like amazing, in New York City, we went there for a trip. I saw all these amazing skyscrapers and buildings and, you know, day traders who make a lot of money. They had limo service out of their condo buildings. And I was like, wow, this is like an amazing life. And I remember before that, a week before that, a guy I knew killed some other guy because of a drug trade gone wrong. The guy was selling drugs in his neighborhood, and he's doing 25 years, and the other guy's dead. And I'm like, wow, we're beefing over blocks that we don't own, and look at these guys, how they're living, and it's so peaceful. So there is a life outside the gang life or the street life. So it's big to take kids out, and that's what we do also in Baltimore, called See More Than Be More. We take kids out to trips in D.C., museums and everything, so they can see the world. That's it, though. I was just giving some people some hope. I know they were talking earlier. So I'm in the independent route. Right. Right. So I take the independent route. What I try to do is I film it all myself. It's funded by my company, and then we do the festival route before the network, so we have all the options and see who wants to take it a step further. But I have talked to them, and they'll probably air it a few times. But I have a premiere. I usually do a premiere every time the film is done. A few of them, depending on how the ticket sales go. Yeah, Instagram, Facebook. I like Facebook better. Yeah, I know. I don't know. I'm old school. Like Instagram's for fun for me, you know. But Facebook and Instagram. But on my Instagram, I think you will see a lot more of my information on there, and you can contact me anywhere. You know. But make sure you comment on a picture because my Instagram doesn't get random. Like if we're not connected. Yeah. Tears in the Bayou is a documentary I shot in Houston, Texas. It has like 1.5 million views right now. I think it's 1.6. Ron is responsible for 400,000 of them. Umbrella. Yeah, so y'all can check that out on YouTube. It's called Tears in the Bayou. It really covers in detail gang life in Houston, Texas, and I interviewed a lot of parents who went through a lot of trauma. I've interviewed my friends' moms too, so you could get to hear their stories. It's an hour and 43 minutes. Yeah, and I'm not narrating any of the documentaries. I don't even narrate the one in Toronto. I let the community do it. It's never about me. It's about the community. Yeah, there was like a gang member in there. He was part of. He's a reputed gang member actually. He's almost lost his life twice. He's been on ICU, and he said that when he saw himself talk about all the crimes he's committed and how he doesn't give a crap. And he saw the moms' interviews when their moms are crying and saying how their life has changed. They've been on antidepressants and can't sleep for 2-3 weeks, and it made him feel really low inside. And he kind of like realizes, okay, I'm a dirtbag, you know. And he changed his life. And a lot of times I'll see a comment saying, "This guy sent me to watch this documentary. It's crazy how much he's changed." I haven't met him since I interviewed him, but a lot of people in the comment section are saying he changed a lot. And this is like a guy that's really, really terrible. Yeah. So you said like the difference between gangs in Canada and in America. I think like the wild wild west culture is more down there, where it's like I don't like under you know, say somebody else's struggle is worse than another person's, you know?
Like Baltimore,
yeah.
they're huge gaps
Yeah, but I never discredit what they're going through, right? Like, I don't discredit what any Canadian is going through because somebody from Mexico can say, hey, Houston isn't that bad, and somebody from Syria can say, hey, Mexico isn't that bad, or Rio de Janeiro or something. But like the gangs down there, like I think the culture has been ingrained in everybody. Like it's very, very deep. Most of the time, it's the whole family's in the gang. The mom might have been in the gang too, type of thing. Where here, a lot of the guys I interview, their parents seem like educated, regular folks. Yeah, and it's a lot of the gang members in America, like especially the Section 8s. Section 8s, a lot of people are drug addicts, like throughout the whole projects. While the projects over here, a few here and there, but it's like a lot of working class people who are actually working, Yeah. In terms for me, it took so many things, so many different things, and sometimes it's unfair for me to talk about it because I had an outlet. I was making movies, yeah.
Discredit anything.
Yeah, but some people don't have anything, It's not an excuse ever. It's never an excuse, but just studying, reading, I just read a lot of books and saw a lot of different things, and I'm like, you start not being easily influenced by what's going on, and you actually start realizing yourself, it's not really me acting out, it's the trauma of going through a lot of things that's making me like this, and I'm actually weak. Like I talk to gang members or in my family or whatever, I'd be like, bro, like you're just soft, like you're letting emotions take over your body, and you're not as strong as you think you are. I manipulate them to think that they're soft, and they're like, okay, well, maybe if I don't fight this guy, I'm stronger than I am than if I do fight this guy. And it makes a difference. And just reading, man. I think reading, at the end of the day, education frees us a lot. Yeah. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, sure.
Man, I lost a lot of people. Like,
Especially your brother.
Right.
Yeah.
I was 13 years old. I don't remember much or how anything happened. I just saw him in the hospital, and for 4 days I thought he was gonna make it, but he didn't. And so I don't know how to answer that, but. Revenge is always in the air in your brain. You cannot not think about, I want to get revenge. And sometimes that's why you're so upset. Somebody might be arguing with you in traffic. You're thinking about somebody totally different, and you're lashing out on this person, and stuff like that. So the revenge isn't necessarily you killing somebody else. It's more like your teacher talking to you, and you're just mad about something that happened to your family member or something, and you going in on the teacher or a cop or anybody of a higher authority figure. I'm from a Christian family. My mom's like super religious. She saw my first movie through holy water at me. Yeah, she did. Like 5 minutes in, I was like, okay. I was working with a low budget, but I wouldn't say religion had anything to do with it. No, I just wouldn't say it. I know a lot of people do like turn to the Nation of Islam and that type of avenue, but for me, like I used to question God, because I lost a lot of people in my life. So I used to like how is God real if this is all happening, and where is He at? And hey, honestly, sometimes I used to want to die myself, because I was like, okay, like if it ended, it'd be better, because it doesn't make any sense. And if there's a heaven, let me go to it as soon as possible. But that's really it. I never really thought about the religious side of anything like that. Yeah. Yeah, and then like that's another reason why a lot of these kids go around acting crazy, is because they want to die themselves, or they feel like, sometimes you put yourself in your friend's shoe. Oh man, my boy died in the middle of the street. I wonder how he felt. And you think, okay, maybe I should feel like that. I don't know how those feelings go to that. Again, like nobody ever sees a counselor, and this is a big thing. And I try, like in talking to the mayor and the councilman, I'm like, we need to put counselors in these schools, because your parents are going to be too busy to talk to you when you get to the house. Your mom comes back home late at night, 9 o'clock in the night, and it's like, who do you talk to? And then you end up just, your thoughts is everywhere. Your idle mind's the devil's playground. So yeah. But the religion helps to a lot of other people though. Yeah. I know a lot of guys that turn to Christianity or Islam. Yeah, but for me, no. Yeah, no problem. I do that a lot of times. A lot of moms call me, and they tell me to talk to their children. So I do that a lot. But most of the time, I don't try to talk to them up front. I just tell them come to like a set with me. I'll shoot a random B-roll Toronto skyline as whatever. Let's just shoot something and get them creating and loosen them up, and then I can get to know how he feels. But I'm not a trained counselor like that guy, but, but I'm definitely down to talk. Sometimes it's just talking and understanding. I'm sorry to hear about you losing your son. Thank you.
Thank you so much for it. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay.